This is Sexy Funny Raw, where we chat all about the world of sex, from dating and relationships all the way to the adult industry itself. I'm Sylvia Sage, and this is my Pornspective, answering all the questions you weren't even brave enough to ask Google. Get ready, because Sexy Funny Raw starts now. Well, hello again. Welcome back to Sexy Funny Raw. I am your host, Sylvia Sage, and I am joined in studio, as always, with my co-host, Dr. Eddie, giving us his public health perspective. Thank you, Dr. Eddie. And this month, it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, my colleague, comedian, and the creator, that's the word I wanted, of the Roast Battle. Welcome, Brian Moses.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, I love having you.
It's my favorite place to be.
Well, it should be. This is a pretty exciting place.
It's been my home all month.
It has, yeah. Well, it's been a long month. Very long. You guys, today we are getting into a subject which is a little harsh, a little light. We're going to make it fun, though. So let's talk about demeaning sexual arousal. And I found this to be a topic I definitely wanted to have Brian on the show for, because if you haven't seen Roast Battle, what Roast Battle is two comedians pit up against one another, and they're basically just making degrading jokes towards each other's. And the winner of the most
very non-sexual
horrific
way.
Yeah,
we've even had
there's
like a
sexual
naked
jokes in there.
There's sexual jokes, but I mean,
Yeah.
like they're demeaning.
Yeah.
They're there to humiliate.
But
for the most part.
it's a humiliation tactic. That's what the show is.
We even had a naked roast battle. And
You
it
have?
was- yeah, it's online actually.
Nice.
Between Connor McSpadden and Keith Carey.
Is it people you'd want to see naked?
Connor McSpadden and Keith Carey.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like Laurel
good.
and Hardy basically
Okay,
battling.
nice.
So think of like
Are their dicks out?
The number. Yeah, they're butt naked.
Wow.
Asshole naked.
I gotta
yes.
look this one up. I'm interested for that.
And then every year at Skankfest they have a naked roast battle. It's like a tradition.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, demeaning sexual arousal, you guys. So basically, what some might consider a degradation kink, right? So degradation can fall under the sadism or masochism umbrella and can often be seen in dominant, submissive relationships. Okay, so why do some people enjoy this, Dr. Eddie?
I think that's a great question. But why do we enjoy all of the kinks that we have, right? So we all have our own thing. And so it could stem from, I mean, not to answer that question in full, but it could stem from family, where you were raised, how you were raised, exposure, one story happened that one year in that one place.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that's what turns you on.
So I will just say from my own personal experience of what I have realized, I think the more powerful, and now I'm going to use men for an example because men are what I sleep with on the majority of the basis. So what I find is the more power a man has in his personal and professional life, the less power he wants in the bedroom. And I have found that that's kind of the men who I have found who want the degradation, they want me to talk down to them, make them my little bitch, like without naming any names, I have an ex-cop that I sleep with, and he...
You mean Bill? Yeah. No,
he loves for me to just basically make him feel like he is not a man. Do you know what I'm saying? He just wants me to belittle the shit out of him, and I fucking love it.
Do you say blue lives don't matter? You're like,
should.
oh, I'm an unarmed black kid. Look at me. He's like, no.
That was loaded. That was a loaded statement.
But that's what I find, is I find that with the people that have the most authority in their real and professional life don't want any authority in the bedroom. But that's not everybody. That's just what I have found statistically on my own personal research of thousands of men I've slept with.
Weren't they searching for Donald Trump, P tapes?
What?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
It was on Vice. It was, Tom Arnold was looking for him. So, that's a very powerful man, and that's being degraded.
Wait, where
being
someone
peed
on him?
Yeah.
Oh, I would believe
Russian
that
hookers
for sure.
are peeing on him.
I would believe that for sure.
See what I mean? Yeah, so I agree. And maybe you're right. The more powerful you are, maybe the less responsibility you want.
Yeah. Well, I will say, now this has nothing to do with degradation, because if anyone calls me dirty things in the bedroom, I get angry only because I think in my personal life, people are always like referring to me as like a whore or a dirty cum slut or something like that. So if I'm actually having sex with you and you use those words, I'm fucking pissed. So
it's insecurity in the bedroom as the turn off everybody.
Yeah.
Well, what happens in real life and what in. Because in degradation, sexual arousal, we're actually talking about creating a scene.
Yeah,
like we're talking about we're developing a scene that we're going to act this out.
Yeah,
this is like a role play almost.
It's like a fantasy land,
as opposed to in the real world,
right?
Where someone might call you something and you haven't really given consent. There hasn't been a plan there. I think consent is like operative there. Mm-hmm. But more generally, I'd be hesitant to say that powerful men that's what they want, because a lot of powerful men don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
A lot of powerful men, right? And so there's different levels there
for sure.
that are really sensitive, and I wouldn't want to use a big brush to paint some of those things.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm just saying from my personal experience.
Sure.
That's what I
based on empirical evidence that Sylvia Sage.
That's scientific research. That is a sample size.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm like
powerful men.
Those are quantitative numbers too. Those are pretty good.
Yeah. I'm doing my own public health research. Don't you worry.
Understood.
Yeah, just with my own body. That's all. Yeah.
Listen, I knew a lunch lady who, when we had sex, she wanted to be called an assistant manager because she was the manager. So I kind of get what you're saying.
But I think too, like, it's okay. So it is the little things of like, because like when I'm in a sexual mood and I'm like really with somebody that I'm like, they're just tearing me apart and I'm kind of into it, I'll say stuff like, like use me like your sex toy, or, like I'll say little things like that where I'm like,
but you're implying consent though.
Yes.
And 100%. I think that's big what you were saying about the roast battle too, because we are we're there to insult and humiliate, right?
Yeah.
But it's consensual.
Yes.
And if it's not there, well, then that's the bullying part, and that's like the abusive part, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. No, and I think too, that's why obviously having a pre-conversation about what words you're going to be okay with in that sexual scenario and not just like using them as like a surprise can really, I mean, honestly, like I said, I would punch somebody in the face if they said a derogatory thing. But in porn, of course, we have that list. We have that list of like yeses and nos, and that's always my thing of like, they even say like, what words do you not want people to use towards you? Mine are always like slut and whore. I don't.
Okay. I mean, so like, when you're like with like a civilian or whatever, and you guys are having sex, like, do you tell them like, all right, talk dirty to me, but don't say these two words?
Here, I need you to sign this consent form. And can you initial here next to the list of words?
I wish I had that.
I'm going to need your initials here.
The 7 words you can't say to Sylvia Sage.
Yeah. No, but you know why I don't have to do that is because most men in a real life scenario don't speak up during sex. I mean, for the most part, this is me again with my public health survey that I've done with the men I've slept with.
Your sample sizing.
Yes, my sample sizing. I feel like men are like afraid to say anything in the bedroom. The most I usually get out of a man is like moaning of like, this feels good or something like that. Or like, you like that? Like that's usually
I think it's the more confident they are and the more secure they are with who they're with. Because I think that might be a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd say it's probably also tied to ideals of masculinity, ideas of, what's appropriate, what's been allowed in the past.
Yeah.
Right? Most men might not be vocal because that wasn't allowed, or they've never done it or had the opportunity to, because we have to bottle things up, and that's how we train our boys and all of those things. So I think it's definitely complicated, but it could be a variety of things. It could be a bunch of these different variables. And so like masculinity is really tied to a lot of the things that go on for men and women and in between the two, I think. And so moaning could be perceived as a feminine trait, right? Showing enjoyment, showing passion, showing sensitivity or care also can be, maybe less in this new generation of young men and women, but certainly in our generation, it was a little bit different.
Do you think
dudes don't moan, but my generation moans.
Yes, I love them.
We're moaners.
I actually love a moan.
Yeah. Millennials and Gen Z ladies seem to love the moaning. You read about it now. Yeah, you guys love guys that moan.
Yeah, I do. I love a guy who says anything to me during the bed. But do you think that that's porn? Do you think porn has trained people for that? Do you think that that they've learned, the derogatory stuff from all this because porn has gotten so derogatory, that I feel like that's where this dirty talk is coming from. That's not necessarily, a thought process for a lot of guys, but that's all they hear is like, yeah, you dirty whore, take this.
We've even discussed this on this show, but porn in the adult film industry is oftentimes the only place that young men and women learn anything, right? We live in a society that has bottled up a lot of this stuff and made it so incredibly taboo, where something completely normal and natural has become like stigmatized, right? So we don't talk about sex. We don't want to teach our children about sex. Everyone's very uncomfortable having conversations about it.
Yeah.
So everybody goes to porn, but the intention of the adult film industry is not to teach our young people any of those things, because it's also curated and not real, right? And so we're creating an environment where that's the only place people can learn anything, and then what they're learning is based on like a feedback loop of an algorithm that someone watched somewhere, and so we're creating an environment where it's not safe for our young kids and adults to start learning about these things in healthy ways.
Yeah.
And so when you don't have anything else to say, you're going to say the last couple of things you've probably heard.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And so if you're watching something and they're using derogatory or demeaning language, that's all you have in your head if
comes
you're nervous.
to mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's a possibility. I don't want to give a...
So it's nuts. I mean, like I've had people because I think it is that like that younger generation, like they don't really know how to have intimacy or even like conversations during intimacy, because they're just like, call me this, and you're like, wait, I don't want to do that, or choke me. You're just like, but I don't know, I don't want to do that, and they're just like, that's not how I get off. You're like, really, really, I have to like abuse you,
spit in my face, and call me dirty whore.
It's all, this is like a new thing. I'm like, this is crazy.
Brian, can you bring your phone in and can you text me while we're doing it? We don't talk, just text me. Text me whatever you want. Can you use these 7 words? I need you to initial here and then text it.
But to me, I think this demeaning sexual arousal also is like an extension of like coming in someone's face, because I think, to me, that is the most derogatory thing you can do to me personally, is come on my face. And thank God for OnlyFans, I can now direct where the cum goes, but I took so many unwanted cum loads to the face prior to fucking OnlyFans. So I think that in itself is like a degrading aspect of like sexual
some
arousal.
People love
and
it.
Need it.
Absolutely.
Need to see it.
Yeah.
The amount of times where I was like, can we please do a pop shot somewhere else? And they're like, no. Like the script like requires it. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Here
it was written by a man.
1,010%.
Of course.
There's no way a woman's going, I really need that cum shot to be on her face. No exceptions. Thank you very much.
Aim for the eyes.
Yeah. Right. Get that eye real red and infected. That's what we really need. Just show her she's a real piece of trash. Because that's all it means to me, is that you're a piece of trash, because you would normally come in a Kleenex, and then you would throw that Kleenex away like a piece of trash.
It doesn't have to, right?
They just want to get rid of it. Really.
If someone does enjoy it, I don't think it necessarily needs to be bad either, right? So,
and I know some people do.
I mean, like, cause I'm even thinking about people who like, to be shit on the chest a little bit, right? So I'm saying, like, and that's their kink, right? So the golden shower of it all, Yeah,
110%.
Well, now we know.
Now we know the golden shower is a pheromone thing. Yeah, it's totally different to me now.
At least in part, right? At least in part.
Right.
What about? So here's my question. So I get a lot of this, and this is the one that I actually do, but it's Asian men, and they like to be shamed for their small penises. But here's my question. What makes that a sexual fantasy for them? Because that is something that they're wanting. They want you to tell them how small their dick is, how they could never fuck you because their dick is so small. They could never compare to a real man. And that's what they're getting off to. Now, my question is this a societal thing, that because society in general has gone, Asian men have small dicks, black men have big dicks, and white guys are somewhere in the middle. And so now they're like, well, I guess I just have to take what I've been given and somehow make this sexy? And so they've found sexiness in their small dicks? Or their perceived small dicks. I don't want to say that it's factual.
Since we're really only speaking from like the American perspective, because the rest of the world probably doesn't have a lot of those stereotypes, right? We have so many stereotypes here in the U.S. that guide a lot of these subconscious or implicit kind of things.
Right.
I wouldn't say that maybe that's what's going on there, because I can't imagine, and I certainly couldn't find any data on the percentage.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know how many people in any specific demographic feel about some of these stereotypes.
Right.
But I think it's maybe a little bit more about power, right? Because a lot of these things often have to do with power or relationships and stuff, and so and there are, in fact, on this planet, many Asian men with large penises and many Hispanic men with small penises, or white men with very small penises, right? Or very large ones as well. And so all of those like weird stereotypes are pushed forward by the adult film industry in a lot of ways, and based on like these old stereotypes that really have no place in like reality most of the time. They might have come from fear long ago, but and so I think that's...
So the degradation more comes, what you're saying, is from the power struggle.
That's almost like you were saying earlier. Like, powerful men like to be degraded, right?
Right.
From your sample size. So they even like that gives power to what Eddie is saying, or Dr. Eddie is saying, because then it's saying like men who come from that very machismo culture and very like, it's women are second class, right? Dr. Eddie and Asian culture for the most part.
Yes.
In some.
I can answer that. Right. It was a question of Dr. Eddie. I very much popped in.
Right. Like the man is the head of the household kind of a thing, still traditional, I think. So I think having that power taken away and that taboo sexual way of just like, nobody's going to know that I was acting like the second class citizen here. I get that. I get that being like a sexual fantasy, like you were kind of saying earlier.
But since it's a kink, we don't know what the percentage is in real life, right? We don't know if it's 10%, if it's 50%, if it's 90%, right? And so these tropes, they're relevant because they're interesting and they're important to talk about, because we don't want to stigmatize any of these things. But there's no way to know, because a lot of these, like the studies that do these things, a lot of people don't like to talk about those things.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a really difficult area to study in depth, because how honest do people want to be about these things?
Yeah.
Like, we're all honest here, but this is what we do, and we talk about these things.
They're all sexy, everybody.
Yeah.
Every one of your kinks are sexy. Except the murder one. Don't... That one's bloodlust is awful.
The ones that don't have consent.
Yes.
Yes. That'd be murder too, I guess. Yeah. So anything without consent, let's just not do that.
Let's just not do that.
But I think, obviously, we talked a lot about consent, but with this in particular, the degradation, I think the aftercare conversation is also super important.
Right, the come down, right.
Yes.
And in roasting, that's the same thing. I remember a comic I won't name, but she said that it takes like a month to get over that.
Yeah.
Like, you are consenting to it, but then it's like you're consenting to getting beat up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, having the conversation afterwards and just being like, how did you feel about this? Like, is there something you want me to change for next time? Can we, is there going to be a next time? Are you even comfortable enough to go, to continue going into this? Right. Yeah. All of that. Like, did I go too hard? Absolutely. Like, I mean, I know you know this, but, Chris Cope, it was my very first roast battle I did was Chris Cope, and he made a joke about my nose, and that was like 7 years ago, and I got a nose job because of it. So
Oh wow!
Maybe we went too hard.
See?
Yeah. So
that really like that connected. Wow, you got a nose job because of that comment, because of that joke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry
that was what
started it. That's a lot of power
it.
you gave him.
That's what started it, and then the fans also were pretty mean too. So I was like, if he thinks it, everyone in the crowd laughed, and fans talk about it, it has to be horrific. So yeah.
Wow, what a spiral.
I know.
Good nose though.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy with the results. Yeah. Nobody's making Toucan Sam jokes now, bitches.
I thought you were gorgeous before, and you're gorgeous now.
Well, thank you. So one of because I think it's not necessarily even a sexual fantasy, I don't think, but a lot of women are now referring to men as this like fuck boy, It's like calling a girl a slut. It's like obviously the person that you don't take seriously.
Yeah, you guys are really taking the power back. That fuckboy thing. It's calling a man a slut. It really hurts.
Yeah. Does it?
It
does.
Yes.
Okay.
Masculinity and the lessons for masculinity dictate that something like that would add prestige.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And so that's where it's not equal across the board.
It's definitely
so
not
the things
equal.
that happen for women
Yeah.
and don't happen for men.
Because I was going to say, I feel like most men are like, yeah, fuck boy, call me over and I'll do the deed.
I don't want you guys to go harder, so I'm going to be like, no, it's hurt. No, it's the worst. Please. No,
we hate it.
Well, but is it, I mean, I suppose I have a follow-up question. Is it different if they're not taking you seriously as a man and a partner, or if they're just using you as a sexual tool.
Yeah.
And that distinction, I think it would be
that
hurtful.
former hurts.
I think would be
that
hurtful.
Former really hurts.
Yeah. That they don't want to take you seriously as a partner.
Yeah, you're just you're just a human vibrator for me. Like I don't see a future with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to invest with you. I don't care enough about you.
Yeah.
You're just a fuck toy.
But I think those are just booty calls in general. At the end of the day, I mean, booty calls go both ways. I've been on the receiving end and the calling end of a booty call. So, yeah. I think we're just renaming
broken some
them
hearts,
at this point.
Yeah, you've gotten some heart broken. Okay.
That's true.
You're welcome.
That's true. Yeah. I tried a booty call the other night and it did not pan out for me. It's so sad when that goes wrong. You were with me.
It's better to talk about the L's than the wins, everybody. It really is. It's funnier. It's more interesting.
A category on your phone that's like hidden that you can go to.
No.
A Rolodex category.
No, because I really don't have like that many men that I'm like, even honestly in Los Angeles, the amount of men I've slept with is so small that are like outside of porn, obviously. Like I don't even have any like callbacks. Like most of them like moved on to other relationships. So like I got nothing in the bank here.
It's time for expansion.
I know I got to get out more. I really do got to get out more.
We need to increase the sample size.
Yeah.
There it
From
is.
the previous study.
Yeah.
Right. So the previous was just a pilot study.
Yeah, that was
now
early on. Yeah.
All right.
Those were like my teens and 20s, you know, when I was the most active with strangers. I loved strangers actually back in the day. And I got to say, I'm still a big fan of strangers. I recently saved myself. I did this thing where I was like trying to get to know the person before I had sex with them. I just personally think that's a bad idea. I really, for me, I just think first date sex is hot. And I think second, third, fourth, whatever, when you're holding out, it just becomes so predictable that it loses its spiciness. I don't know. I just will never not be a first date sex girl. It loses all fun.
That could be challenging only for...
You're so cool. It's like the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That could be challenging only because not everybody takes to things right away. And sometimes, especially younger men, when we were all younger, it took more than the first time to like get your groove on.
Yeah.
And so that first time is a 3-minute situation, whereas the second, right? And so I think from the male perspective, let's give a little bit of leeway where maybe the second instead of the first.
I just think on the second or third, you're expecting something. And I think on the first, you're not expecting it. So it's like, surprise, we're going to fuck.
But what if it's...
I hear that, by the way, because then, you're anticipating it and then it might not be good because you're like, you're
the build up to it.
It's like a prom to you at that point. You're like, oh my God, it's my first time.
We're going to have
my first
sex
time with
tonight.
this person. Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible.
Whoa, I can't believe it. Yeah. That first time, though, if you're not expecting it, then it's just like, oh, fuck, I got to get a condom or let's see, I don't know this girl, whatever. Let's see what happens.
There's so much randomness to it. I love the randomness.
There's a lot of spice to that.
I like it, personally. I mean, that's just me.
It's a lot of spice. That is a kink. That's another kink, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not demeaning. So, there's that. Do we need to add anything else to this episode, Dr. Eddie? Any more demeaning sexual fantasies? Any more demeaning sexual arousal we need to discuss?
I don't know about any more, but certainly to just end and touch base on the aftercare of it all.
Yeah.
You had mentioned in the comedy world how it sometimes takes a long time to recover from those things.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder if like two comics hug it out afterwards.
They do.
They, were
they always make them hug out.
Amazing. Yeah,
interesting.
We really do.
They do.
At the end of every battle, we hug each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in our sexual relationships, sometimes that might go a long way. And so aftercare is not something people often think about, even if you're having a booty call. Aftercare for whatever it was, like a check-in, we're both humans, we're both here, we both shared something, and now you can get out.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's okay.
I'm always offended if someone leaves my house after we have sex.
They have to stay.
Yeah. If we had sex, you have to stay the night with me.
I mean, it helps if they're in a cage, I suppose.
Right.
Well, it does.
We had sex, you're staying here. And then you release them in the morning. Wow.
I want you to leave first thing in the morning. Like, don't overstay.
The crack
So
of
you
dawn.
can't say, wow. Do you have like rules before you go in your house?
Well, that's why I had you initial here and here.
Yeah.
This is consensual. You have to leave by this time.
You are going to stay the night, correct?
Yes.
You are. All
Yes.
right. And then you will leave by
Wow.
7 a.m. Got it? Okay. All right. might just chose, yeah.
The Weather Channel app says that sunrise is at 8:27.
Yeah.
And so 8:26, you're out.
Yeah.
Sylvia has a notary right when you walk in. Don't say these words
I really
at this
should.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, really, honestly.
And then you get like a flashy thing, that way that you don't remember where she lives.
Wow.
I wish I had that, honestly. I would flash you so many people. I really would.
That was a loaded statement, too. Just gonna say.
I mean, I flash you millions of people all the time. All right, guys. I think that will wrap up this episode for demeaning sexual arousal. Give that power away. Let somebody call you their little bitch for the day. Maybe it'll spice things up. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But talk about it before you do. Get their consent. And maybe talk about it afterwards. See how they're feeling. But you know what? Enjoy yourselves. Go have fun. Brian Moses, tell the people where they can find you.
Anything Roast Battle, go Google it. We have a show once a month, this Roast Battle League. So it's like cities around the world who are the best shit talkers battling each other. We do it at Jam in the Van, and we broadcast on Jam in the Van on YouTube. Anything YouTube Roast Battle, you can Google it.
Such a good show. You guys are not going to want to miss it. All right. And Dr. Eddie, thank you so much again for giving your public health perspective. And that's it, guys. Until next time, adios.